Curtin, and I'm here today with my buddy
Mohammed Magdi.
Is that? I don't know.
Every week I'm just gonna have a different introduction.
I was like, did I not notice that you say your name weird
every time?
Like, is this just a podcast thing or is this a live thing?
I'm just taking it over. Everyone will be tuning in just to listen to my intro now.
If I introduce you to people, I want to introduce you to people now in real life and see if you're like, hi, I'm Mohammed Magdi.
I'm like that UFC guy, Bruce Buffer. The announcer.
I know nothing about UFC.
But you know, like how they have like the famous announcers, like, now it's gonna take like 5 minutes for me to do the intro.
Did that one guy, the Let's Get Ready to Rumble guy, he made it a thing now?
Yeah.
They got to have the calling card.
Yeah.
It's like, we're here to see people destroy themselves. Take your little theatrics somewhere else.
Yeah, it's his 1 minute of fame.
How do people find you online?
They find me on Patreon. Today, my plug is Patreon. Patreon.com/theothermuhammad. There is nothing on there, but you can just give me money. That's how people find me.
Yeah, they find you by giving you money.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like a reverse deadbeat.
And you can also find
which
me on
ironically
Instagram.
Makes you sound like more of a deadbeat. If you are enjoying the podcast, do us a favor, hit subscribe. It is a massive help for us. It's a help for you because you get to hear more of Muhammad's impersonations of himself saying his name. So yeah, it doesn't matter what platform you're on, just hit subscribe. Also, I want to do a big shout out to my buddy Bjorn Seedy, a good friend from Shanghai. You know Bjorn.
Yeah.
He sent me a message the other day saying that he's been listening to the podcast. So I really appreciate it, man. You are the best. And the thing we want to talk about today is... So currently Hong Kong is in another wave.
Yeah.
But this one's a little unusual. The source of this one has been Hong Kong's seedy, ultra wealthy ballroom dancing scene, full of lots of sexual...
well, first of all, just because it's for the ultra wealthy, I've never heard of it.
But do you know what is interesting? Because I was talking to my friend who's lived out here for 20 years. And it was so because the thing is that it happened in a place that we walk past all the time. It's like one chai, like an area that we know.
Yeah.
And I'd even been to this place.
Have you?
So the place, when we can get further into it, the place Starlight, that was like the center of it.
Yeah.
We looked at that as a potential venue. Now, I don't know how serious
Wait, is that one of the venues we looked at for the riff?
It was.
Oh shit, I remember this place now.
Did you come to it?
I did come to it.
It's like on a high floor or something.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
that's
as soon as they said that, I was like, oh shit.
I do remember that now. Oh my god. We looked at it, like 1.5 years ago, something like when we were looking for venues for the riff, and we came down from Shanghai. I was here and I met you here and we just looked at it. Holy shit.
Yeah, I don't know if we were ever even like a serious candidate for getting it, but it was... Yeah, as soon as they said the name, I was like, I don't know what that is. But, whether you're in Hong Kong or Shanghai, I feel like this is even more true in Hong Kong. Like, Hong Kong is a city where you could live here for your whole life and then be like, oh, that door you never noticed?
Yeah.
There's a whole thing in there. Like, there's a whole community of something you've just been walking past this whole time.
You know about
There's so many hidden pockets of stuff here.
So you know about the whole, the restaurant that caught fire here in Yau Ma Tei and, a bunch of people died and stuff? The Nepalese restaurant.
Like, just recently?
Yeah, just recently,
Was that an illegal restaurant?
It's an illegal restaurant, that's why I remembered it, because across the street from California Tower, there is this amazing Nepalese place that is totally illegal, but it's the same thing.
Wait, where is it exactly?
You can't tell because there is no sign, nothing. So, across the street from California Tower, there is bars downstairs, and it's basically a residential building. You take the elevator up to a floor. I'm not going to say which floor not to get them in trouble, actually, because I like these guys.
Yeah, the cops won't have trouble figuring this out.
No, because that's exactly the thing. It's a maze. You actually cannot be, and they all look like residential doors. You don't know which restaurant is it until someone takes you there. And it's
Who took you there?
A local friend. That's how you get to know about the place.
You don't have local friends.
Chinese friend. I called him local. He's actually Gabriel Tam from Singapore. Also local.
Busted.
And it's open until 6 a.m. every day. It's basically drunken food for Lang Kwai Fang people.
Really?
Yes. And they deliver as well. It's very good. And it's like $50 a meal. It's a perfect combo for Lang Kwai Fang. But that's the thing. There is so many of these restaurants here in Shanghai, in Hong Kong.
But I feel like in Shanghai, you know, and I think in any big city there's bubbles and you don't realize there's things going on.
Layers,
and in Shanghai there could be like whole communities and stuff. Like I remember, just as an example, did you ever go out to like the villa communities out in Gubei?
Oh yeah.
I remember the first time I went out there, I was like, what, people have houses in Shanghai?
Yeah.
With backyards?
Remember the mansion?
I never went to that.
Yeah, but that was out in that area too.
Did you go to that?
I did go a couple of times on my first 2 years in Shanghai. It's crazy. It feels like a tropical island of some sort, like in the middle of Shanghai.
Yeah.
Just the vibe, because they're like selling drugs off the counter and everyone is underage and everyone's drinking and it's just insane. It's insanity.
So I remember we did a gig at the British international school out there, which was super fancy. Actually, I think it's where Chris Baker worked.
Oh yeah.
And it was like what an expensive private school in Australia would look like with green and everything.
Yeah.
Like expensive private schools in Hong Kong, still don't look that amazing because they don't have land.
Right. Yeah.
But like this had like rolling land in Shanghai, and then next to it with these gated communities of just houses like you would have in the West.
Yeah.
And I just got introduced to someone through a friend, and they invited me out there for lunch, and it was just. It was like being in a dream. You're like, am I in Shanghai right now? Whereas, like, I feel like Hong Kong, because it's so dense here, you don't quite get such an revealing different place physically, but
you get the layers.
It'll have been underneath you the whole time.
Exactly.
Like,
that's it.
It'll be, you'll be like, oh, I didn't realize this building's this tall and has a garden on top of it.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Knott's Ford Terrace is another perfect example. So Knott's Ford Terrace, for people who don't know, is basically Kowloon's.
Wait, I read this in the news recently. That's the Nepalese one?
No. That's Kowloon's Lang Kwai Fong, basically. Knott's Ford Terrace.
Oh.
It's right here.
I just read about this. I didn't know what... Did something happen?
I'm not sure if I didn't read about it on the news recently.
But it's LKF for Kowloon, right?
It's LKF for Kowloon, but the interesting thing about it is that unlike LKF, it's just tall buildings that have multiple businesses in each building. So you go there, it's like you see bars on the ground level, just like Lang Kwai Fong, but up there is another 15 bars in the building. And you just have to go there and get lost. It's really interesting. You can actually go take the elevator to the top floor and make your way down. And by the time you get down, you're shit-faced already. Yeah. If you have one drink in each bar, you're done. It's really cool.
Yeah.
But it's like where the locals hang out, right? Like Lang Kwai Fong is like tourists and, dumb Kwai Lo.
Oh, yeah, all those tourists we have in Hong Kong these days.
Exactly.
The tourism business is going so well. That's definitely going to come back.
That's why Knott's Ford is still surviving, because that's where the locals go.
Because it was local, right?
Yeah.
Well... So just to give we've talked about it a few times on the podcast, but like just give a little bit of a history. So Hong Kong got hit early in January.
Yeah.
Nowhere else got hit, but it wasn't badly hit. It was just hit.
Yeah.
It was just here. Hong Kong people, having gone through SARS, dealt with it pretty well. By late Feb, the virus was hitting everywhere else.
Yeah.
And Hong Kong somehow were not controlling people flying back in.
Yeah.
And so all of these people flew from France and London because they were like, it's no longer safe over here. They were sick, it came back, and that's when we had...
I know two people who came back from Australia and Dubai. I wouldn't know who they are. I wouldn't say who they are, but...
When I came back, it wasn't in Australia.
I know.
It was like barely there. I came back when Australia was safe.
I came back from Dubai when it was like starting to hit there. But then I came in and they're like, I'm like, do I need to quarantine? They're like, nah, you're fine. I'm like, okay.
Like, quarantine?
But like literally 10 days after I came in, and then they started quarantining people.
So I came like a few weeks before they shut the border.
Yeah.
I've never been on such an empty flight.
Yeah.
There was no one, 5 seats to my right before there was a person, and 2 rows to my back before there was a person.
Wow.
There was no one.
I am the opposite
flight.
because I think I came earlier, later than
Karina
you.
came.
Yeah.
So when Karina, my wife, came back, I don't know, 2 weeks later, she said, it was like people sleeping in the aisle of the plane. Obviously joking, but it was super packed. There wasn't a spare seat.
Yeah, I remember when coming back from Dubai, it felt like kind of a refugee crisis because everyone who was living in Dubai from Hong Kong, they were there and they realized it's about to hit there and Hong Kong is about to close its borders. So everyone came back.
But we also, at that point, I remember when I came back here in Feb, and there must have been a few hundred cases in the city or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was like traveling to Chernobyl or something.
Yeah.
Like I was like, people say it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to check it out. I came ahead of the family.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to bring him in here and it was unsafe.
I remember you calling me from Australia and going, we might be here for a while. And then like 2 weeks later, you're like, I'm coming back.
Well, I remember there was a moment where cases started to appear in Australia and I was out with the kids at this like kids art exhibition thing and there were touch screens. There's no sanitizer. Like there was all this stuff that now in a COVID world you'd be like, whoa,
not okay.
And then cases were popping up, and some of them, like a couple popped up near our house.
Yeah,
and it was really a low number at that point. But, but it was enough. Also, this was at the point where China had the most cases.
Oh yeah,
and they don't even had like 30,000 or something. Like it was nowhere it had it really bad at that point. Yeah. But it was enough to know. I'm like, oh, it's...
But I think because
it was this moment where I was living in a world where no one understood what I understood.
Yes, but like, because we lived in China for a long time, we already know when people there are panicking about something, it's going to get serious at some point.
Yeah, I'm like, it's coming. And I spoke to my parents about it. I was like, you guys are in a high-risk category. You should be washing your hands. Don't be shaking hands with anyone. Just try to stay at home. And they were laughing at me.
Yeah.
They were like...
hey, commie.
Yeah. I remember my mum said something like, we've lived through a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is going to be different. This is going to be different to the things you've lived through. Like, historically, I can... prove that this is going to be different to what you've lived through. But
also, if you live through, let's say, like a financial crisis, it's not the same like living through a pandemic.
No.
Like, hey, Sally, I know you're listening, but like, this is not the same thing.
I mean, I understand her perspective as well, but it just, to be frank with you, it's one of those things where when you're living here and you're not only absorbing what's going on through the newspapers, you get a different intel on stuff, and I think there's a reluctance from everyone I know in Australia to listen to the information that I have out here, whether it's about the severity of the protests or it's about what it actually means to live here, even if you're frustrated with what's going on.
To be fair, I also don't like any information you give me, so I get their side as well.
None of it's good.
Exactly.
But and it also, COVID turned out to be not that bad in some ways. As at that point, it was a real unknown.
Yeah.
Like, I remember at that point being like, oh, like, you really can't get this. And now it's like, you should do what you can to limit it. But if you got it, you just got to work through it. It's not going to be that bad. I know tons of people who've got it, and they're fine.
I mean, it's also one of these things, I feel like, as simplistic as this sounds, if you put on a mask outside of your house, you will be fine. To me, that's all that it takes. Just everyone put on a mask when you're outside of the house, and then you're okay. Yeah.
I did see somewhere that it made the good point. It's like, all these people like, oh, I don't want to wear a mask for me. It's like, don't wear it for you. Wear it for everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, that's...
It's like, did you see the Bill Burr monologue on SNL?
Yeah, if you...
When he goes like, he's like, if you... Go ahead, take out your entire family. It's fine.
That was amazing. So anyway, long story short, so came up a little bit in January. By Feb, it was gone.
Yeah.
Came up again in late March.
We had that's supposed to be the second wave.
It was May that it hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, in May, beginning of May, we shut down.
Yeah. Until like July.
And that was because they had... I don't even remember what that one was for.
I think they also like made all these exceptions for people on cruise ships or whatever. Not cruise ships, like container ships, vessels.
Yeah.
And they would just let the crew come in to the port, and then they interact with people who are at the port, locals, and then those locals brought it into the city.
No. We opened up in May. That's what happened. We opened up in May, and we ran till July. And that was the third wave.
Yeah.
And then July we were open until
September, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it started getting bad again. Like, I'm also, I'm thinking of the timeline of the riff.
Yeah, that's
when
what
it was
I'm looking at the schedule.
Yeah.
So in July we had they'd been letting pilots in.
Yeah.
It was getting through the port.
Yeah.
And Hong Kong was still this champion of like dealing with it really well. Then it shut down in July. Started to open up again recently.
Yeah.
and now we've been hit again.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, I say to my friends, I was like, hey, it's really bad here. We had 80 cases in a day.
Yeah.
And they're just laughing at me. And I'm like, I understand that in absolute numbers, that doesn't seem that bad to you. But when you have a city that doesn't have, like, going from 0 to 80 is a lot worse than going from like 1,000 to 2,000.
Sure.
And especially when you look at, like, not to be self-centered, but we're all self-centered, is like, if our income is dependent on it not being there.
Yeah.
So, like, if the virus was here and we were forced to plan our lives in a way that we would get income in a virus setting, that wouldn't be that bad. But what happened was that things were fine.
Yeah.
And so we did the thing that we do, which is we run shows and we plan our life around that, and we put all our energy into it and all of our resources. And we ran one show.
Yeah.
The cops raided us.
Yeah.
10 cops rock up. And it was funny because, like, the mix of, like, people freaking out and just you and me being like, yep.
Yeah.
Been raided again.
Yeah, of course they came here.
Of course. Why wouldn't they raid us? I feel like Carrie Lamb was just like, oh, they're running shows again. Quick, let's get
release some virus in the air.
Some coughs going again.
Yeah.
So
I mean, just
now, but I also want to say this is like, so we get 10 cops rock up. They ring the doorbell, which we didn't even
polite.
know. We didn't even know we had a doorbell. Yeah. So apparently, outside this room that we're running a show in, that's packed, sold out show, awesome show. Someone's installed one of those, like, you get like a doorbell at the supermarket. Yeah, it's like
ding dong,
wireless. You know, you put thing at the front door, and then there's a sound maker inside.
Yeah, so Garen is on stage telling dick jokes,
and
then on here, bing boom. Luckily, the guy who runs the venue is an absolute pro. He knew exactly what to do. He just went outside, did not let them in.
Kept him outside.
Kept him outside, very, very good. Anyway, the show was fine, just in case anyone is worried. No one is worried.
Show was great.
Yeah, show was great.
The funny thing is that, and it's, you know, the survival instinct kicks in, right?
Yeah.
So they open the door, and I look around, and there's a lot of people sitting around the door without masks on. So I just walked around to everyone that was within eyesight of the door and said, can you put a mask on? Can you put a mask on? Put a mask on. And then, like, 3 minutes later, the cops opened the door
and just took a look inside.
And what they would have seen was everybody wearing masks.
Yeah, that was really smart.
And they left after that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say it was smart. I just happened to think.
I mean, that was a good call.
It worked out. I definitely wasn't anticipating it would be as important as it turned out to be, you know.
Yeah.
And we weren't doing anything illegal. They were only concerned about wearing masks.
Yeah.
And it was also at that point we knew. So, like, mid-show, we get a news update saying that there's 103 cases the next day, which we know immediately. We're like, this is the last show for months.
Yeah.
This is it.
At this point, honestly, I was just hoping that our show would not be the new cluster, like the new reason of the cluster.
The guy running the venue as well was pretty worried about that. I mean, the probability is pretty low, you know? Like, it's like you get nervous as a responsible person, but if you look
know what? Legally, we wouldn't be liable to anything.
No.
But number two, it might have just given us the notoriety we needed to be famous in the city.
Well,
the brand might have been associated with it for a minute, and then after that, people be like, "Oh, those are the guys who had the problem last time. Let's go see the show."
I think that, I wonder, because I definitely think that the way that Carrie Lamb or the government thinks about stuff is it's like, they'll just target sectors that gave them a problem.
Right, yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
like for example, there was an outbreak in the bars. So bars have been getting smashed. In every, like, rule they put in, they're like, hit the bars. Because the bars had, you know, there was like a band, Filipino band that went...
Oh, yeah, All Night Long and Insomnia and all of these places. Which brings us back to our original point about the dance rooms. When they started closing things down this time, they didn't fucking close the dance studios.
Yeah, because it's the same reason with the ports, right? They don't need to keep the ports open. They keep the ports open because the tycoons have too much money in it. And they have leverage. And that's the difference between here and, like, Taiwan. So at this point, right, so we've got this outbreak now. At this point, people are getting sick of it.
Yeah.
Hong Kong isn't doing a good job. Like, you could say, oh, but they've got so low cases compared to other places. It's like, without trying to defend Trump or anyone, it's like, once you've failed to stop it to a certain point, there's really nothing you can do. But, like, Hong Kong now has enough information that they could do it well, and they keep fucking up.
Yeah.
Like, they could do it well, and they aren't. Like, Australia, they let the cat way more out of the bag. They were getting, Victoria, like, basically Melbourne was getting like 700, 800 cases a day.
Right.
Pulled it under control. New Zealand's doing an incredible job. Taiwan had, like, no cases for
like 9 months or whatever.
250 days or something, yeah.
Which is, why do you think Hong Kong keeps fucking up so badly?
Well, Taiwan's not letting anyone in.
I don't think that's it, though. I don't think it's just
that's a factor for sure.
No, it's a factor for them, and I'm saying that I don't think that's the reason why.
I think honestly, two things. Number one, I think the government is just they're just liars. I think a lot of what they say they're doing, there's a big effort to create the perception that you're doing an excellent job, but the proof is in the pudding, right? It's getting in. Yeah. And if you look at it, like, I know someone that got in on an exemption. I know several people who violated their quarantine rules.
Oh yeah, I know those people too. I mean, other people.
Yeah, I'm like, this isn't. It's like, despite what they say,
right,
it isn't being managed, and that's fine if your numbers are zero, but their numbers keep blowing up.
Yeah,
it's like, you're screwing this up.
My biggest beef with it is not just that they keep screwing it up and the cases keep rising, but like when they do rise, which could happen anywhere, is that they're not approaching it in a surgical way. Like, for example,
that's what they say they're doing.
I know, but which is really frustrating because, like, the Dance Studios is a great example. Literally, this time the clusters are only in the Dance Studios, and they closed everything else but the Dance Studios. The people in the F&B industry are fuming, rightfully so, because they're like, we did everything. We complied with all the how many people in the restaurants, the distancing, all of that, and then those other people caused the cluster, and you're like, oh, no bars. Like, why no bars? What did they fucking do?
Okay, well, let me give you one possibility. And I'm not saying this is what it is, but let's just explore this for a second. Right, so there's a video that went around. So this cluster broke out, right? And then a video went around that everyone saw on social media that was this dirty old grandma, like, up against, like, a young, jacked dude with no shirt on in a nightclub setting, like, sucking on his nipple. And it was like this reveal, like, this is the ties of Hong Kong are getting these, like, young dancing instructors, some of whom are gigolos. They call them ducks.
Hey, man.
Yardsa.
You don't judge people for doing what they got to do to make money.
It's funny, you know, when you hear about female prostitutes, you always think, like, there's, like, exploitation, they're victims and everything. You hear about guys, you're like,
damn right. Have you ever seen the South Park episode where Ike is banging his kindergarten teacher?
No.
So Ike is like Kyle's like little Canadian brother, right? And he's like 2 or whatever, and he's banging his kindergarten teacher, and they keep reporting him to the police, and the police is not taking it seriously. and there is this famous scene when they go like, "So what's his crime? That he's a cool boy? Nice!" And they just high five.
Zach Galifianakis had a joke. It was like, a 14-year-old boy who was having sex with his female maths teacher died recently from too many high fives. And these are not children; these are adults that are making crazy money. And so this Starlight place. So basically, if you don't know, like, Tai Tai literally means wife, but when you talk about the Hong Kong Tai Tais, it's generally like the ultra wealthy, like super upper class. You know, a lot of them are. Some of them are business women. Some of them are, you know,
like
ex-wives or whatever, or like ex-wives.
Yeah,
and many of them are very serious about the dancing, but they've been going into these studios in huge numbers, not wearing face masks, and they've had an absolute blowout. And, like, one of the things that I saw reported was Carrie Lam's member of the Hong Kong Club, which is one of these exclusive clubs that you and I are never going to be able to go to.
Never even heard of it.
Right, but a lot of them were affected, and I think one of their there's been some outbreaks in their members. It's like, you got to understand, these are the government's friends.
Yeah.
Right? These people are friends with the people in power. It's like, you wonder why it wasn't sloppy that they didn't shut this thing down.
Yeah. You know? It was very intentional.
It's like, if one of us happened to be friends with someone powerful, maybe comedy shows would still be allowed.
Right, it's the same thing.
Ain't been no outbreaks at comedy shows. In fact, in comedy shows, you don't have to sit densely, actually.
No, you can actually sit pretty far apart. It's not a requirement that you stand so closely to each other in comedy show. And
I mean, we do force people to sit close.
Yeah, we do. That's for our own selfish.
But we would run shows if we had to separate people. And,
yes,
and it's like, here's the paradox of any rule that they put in place is it's like, are you running the MTR? This city can't work without public transportation.
Dude, I was on the Ding Ding the other day. It's very crowded.
Like that's the bus?
The Ding Ding, like the fucking tram. The old
that's
tram.
called the Ding Ding? Or is this just how you speak
No,
English?
that's how do you call it here, like the local thing, because it goes Ding Ding. So you remember Ryan and Mahesh ran Ding Ding comedy. It's like based on that. Yeah. So anyway, I was on the tram and it was very crowded. And there was like almost like everyone is wearing masks, of course, but it's like unhealthy, like close to each other.
Yeah. And it's, it's like, well, if that isn't causing an outbreak, then why do we need to ban? I don't know. It's a mix of like just wanting to get back to normal, but then I would say that the concern seems to be not that people are allowed to be on the MTR, but that they haven't sealed the borders properly.
There is also like this is not just a criticism to Hong Kong government, but there is like all these rules that don't make sense. Like we keep sending memes to each other about it. Like for example, the bars can close, but if you serve French fries, then you can open and serve alcohol. Like that doesn't fucking make any sense anywhere. And also the idea that food and beverage establishments can open during the day, but at night they can close. Like we can go all like and sit there and make a cluster during the day. The fire is still gonna come if it's coming.
And anyway, so this has actually been this outbreak. They've had 311 cases just from the dance studio.
Yeah,
which is in this city. That's
a big number.
It's the biggest outbreak.
Yeah,
it's the biggest
since August or something.
No. Since the beginning, that's the biggest outbreak they've had from a single place.
Right. Yeah.
And the latest victims include 64-year-old Seedy Ling, a retired actress and ex-wife of tycoon Peter Lam.
There you go.
How much money these people have. Yeah. Also reportedly testing positive with a bunch of. So apparently there's all these subsequent outbreaks. So people have been in the dance studio cluster and then they're all playing mahjong.
Yeah.
And mahjong, they're saying like, because they pass the pieces around, they're just breathing at each other and they're not wearing face masks. And it's like these super wealthy people have been, how easy is it for those people to keep socially distanced?
Yeah.
And they have there's this huge outbreak in their community, which is kind of wonderful.
I mean, also, how much do we not know? That's the other thing. Because the outbreaks are in this high up...
Bro, this is what I'm saying is like, when it comes down to believing the government, it's like, they're not telling the truth.
No. And I love how she tells the truth, Carrie Lam, about something completely random. Did you see that article when she goes, I spend everything in cash because I don't have a bank account.
She makes the government pay her in cash. It's like... That's bad for COVID.
No, and it's not just that. She gets paid 5.2 million Hong Kong dollars a year, and she has them in cash.
Which, to be honest with you, it's she's the highest paid senior government employee in the world.
Yeah.
But the paradox of it, though, is that paradox is not the right word, but that's not actually that much money for their world.
I get that. I'm sure she can make more just giving speeches or whatever. But like, so does fucking Hillary Clinton and Obama and all these guys. They make money after they finish their presidency.
That's only like $800,000 a year.
The U.S. president, $400,000 a year. That's it. No, but it's nothing.
But Carrie Lam's figure in U.S. dollars, right?
Yeah, that's true. But it's still a lot of money.
Sure.
And the fact that she keeps it in cash, and somehow, I don't know even what the context was, but the fact that she decided to tell the media about it, like she's complaining. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, because she's complaining to people whose apartments couldn't physically hold that much cash.
Exactly. Like, if you really have a problem with space, I have a rooftop. Come leave it on my rooftop.
Yeah, she's like, I have so much trouble doing yoga in my bedroom around all the piles of money, because I always do downward facing dog into some notes.
Ah, man, we're so getting deported. Keep going.
Yeah. Dude, I'm ready to leave at this point. I'm so sick of this place getting its outbreaks and just... We're so close to... Like, we were getting close to setting up a new venue and stuff, and now we're like, okay, well, we're going to figure out how to pay rent next month.
It's very frustrating, to be honest. Like, and the common theme is like, whenever you and me get on this podcast, we always talk about like how we survived the last thing.
Yeah.
And now we're in the thick of it again, and it's tiring. It's very tiring.
Yeah, and listen, it's tough for a lot of people. It's a lot tougher for other people than it is for us. We're super fortunate. We're super fortunate that we could be in a place right now where there is a lot of stuff we can do, even though the bars are closed now.
I'm not complaining about the bars. I just want to be able to work.
Yeah, bars are not that important to me, but it's representative of the level of that there are some restrictions, but plenty of stuff.
If you're listening,
you also work in bars, so
well, hire us for your next private gig, birthday. I will be a gigolo. Just hire me, or give me money on Patreon.
Quack quack.
just hire us.
So it was so crazy, dude. I was doing some research into this dance school scene. So apparently, like, dancers can earn, they'll bring them in for $1,000 a class.
Yeah.
And they'll bring them in via speedboat from mainland China.
What?
Yeah. They're going to pick them up, really high-level dancers who are just, like, really jacked young guys.
Yeah.
From Shenzhen or something.
Yeah.
Or Zhuhai.
Yeah.
Go pick them up, put them on a boat. They don't ever bring them across the border. Just illegally bring them in, bring them for a few days. They earn stacks of money and then they head back. And they're being showered with, like, Rolexes and,
wow,
all these fancy things. And one of the guys was like, there's a legitimate dance scene going on, and there are people that are legitimately interested in. A lot of these women are very good at the dances. And he's like, but it is very clear a lot of these relationships are more than just student and teacher.
Yeah, there is definitely a lot of fishy stuff in there when you read the fine print on these stories, because the common theme is young guys and older tai, and there is also illegal, basically smuggling of them into Hong Kong, and you're like, how is that? Because everyone knows about it. Like, the government knows. Yeah.
So, dude, they did, apparently, 3/4 of the guys at Starlight were in their 20s.
Yeah.
And 80% of the women were in their 70s or 80s.
Nice.
Or it might have been 3/4 of the women. Whatever. It was massively... The age gap was, massively skewed.
Right.
Clearly. And then there was this one story I came across. So this woman who, she was the head of private banking for HSBC, Monica Wong. She's not anymore, but she was at the time.
Yeah.
She paid $15.4 million for salsa lessons.
Wow.
Yeah. It was supposed to be unlimited lessons for 8 years or something. But these two dancing instructors... By the way, when is a dancing instructor going to earn $15 million?
Yeah.
Over what time frame could they... It's like, bearing that in mind, let me put that in perspective.
Yeah.
They're earning more than Carrie Lam earns.
Yes.
Carrie Lam doesn't earn that much.
No. Even if you do it over 8 years, it doesn't add up, because that's in US dollar, you say.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's just mind-bending.
And also,
So these people also... The funniest part about it was, how stupid could you be? So these guys... offended her. They humiliated her in front of her rich friends. They said she's a lazy dog. They said she can't move and all this stuff.
Why would you do that? Would she give you $50 million?
Bro. Every gigolo in the room must have been like, you don't get how this works.
No, not at all.
Just do or say whatever you have to say. Yeah. They're like, I got a Rolex. You got $15.4 million.
Yeah, what the fuck are you doing?
And then, so... They had been coaching her for $200 a class prior to that.
Yeah.
And I guess doing a really good job. She won several awards. Oh, by the way, she's also the daughter of a tycoon. Did I mention that?
No, but it's not surprising at this point of the story.
Yeah, she's also
you said she's high up, former senior of HSBC, so I know she's rich. She's rich on her own, but also being a daughter of a tycoon explains the insane amount of money you can spend on a dance class.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. I think it's hard to put into perspective just how much money the tycoons here have. I mean, Li Ka-shing alone, I think he made $23 billion off his investment in Zoom just this year. Right?
Yeah.
And, oh man, some of the numbers, I can't remember exactly what it was. Maybe it wasn't 23, but it was into the multiple billions.
Yeah.
For this year. And I remember when we were looking for a comedy club, we found this really, really nice venue. And it had been a Mexican restaurant, but then nothing had been sitting there for 6 months.
Yeah.
And we thought it was perfect. We're like, this is just great. These people are really happy. They've been losing money on rent. And we got there. And then the woman, the landlord, was like, man, we don't really feel like having you guys in here. I'm like, feel?
Yeah.
Do you know how much money you were willing to pay for this? And it turned out that the Mexican restaurant had been hers. I found out that at that point she was in the process of taking over all the bars in the building because she also owned the entire building in Central. Her family owned several full buildings around Hong Kong.
And here you are like talking about the one place she doesn't give a shit about.
They turns out, I saw this article, they own 30% of the most expensive street in Vietnam.
Wow.
Which is worth $100. No, just kidding. but
they probably bought it for that money though.
And it's like, I get why she doesn't care. I mean, there's no... Yeah. She's not going to run out of money. No. She's not worried about it.
No. But going back to the couple who messed up, screwed up the deal with the HSBC woman badly. Amazing. So they offended her. I just want to follow the stories. They offended her, and then she decided to do what? Like take her money back?
So she paid a deposit, had no classes under the contract.
Yeah.
Had, I guess, some negative interactions with them, decided this isn't working out, I want my deposit back. Yeah. They've countersued her for the full amount.
Yeah.
They lost everything and had to pay interest as well, which, like, I'm guessing these people couldn't even afford the interest on that.
I don't think so. But I mean, aside from all of that, how much money could you have that you pay $50 million for dance classes? That's just, to me, it's not in my word. I've never... I never talked to someone who has that kind of money, except for maybe Alan Zeman. But like, he's not my friend. I met him
not
once.
With that attitude.
Like
should have taught him some salsa lessons.
Yeah, exactly. Should have given him private comedy classes.
I mean, the thing is it's if you were, let's say that salsa was your thing, right?
Right.
Or I think it was ballroom dancing, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like, let's say that's your thing. It's not like that amount of money is the difference between being able to do it and not being able to do it.
Right, yeah.
You know, it's like these people were already teaching you for like $200 a class.
Yeah.
Like, where is the...
You decided to throw an insane amount of money at them, and they very stupidly blew it. It's so strange.
I don't know what I enjoy more. I think I don't know why, but I enjoy the most that they screwed it up. Like, how big is your ego? Like, how arrogant are you that you had the chance to never work again?
Yeah.
Like, I would be there. If I were them, I'd be rocking up to work every day like, shouldn't have called her a lazy dog. Not have to be here at McDonald's right now.
Oh, man.
Would you like fries with that? I'd like, to have some self-awareness when opportunity comes my way.
Next time. I mean, that's the thing. That's the kind of the sad part about that is like those guys are never going to get another opportunity like that. You know that. Even if they're good dancers. Like,
I want to be like a fly on the wall when, like, how did that number come out? Like, who put that number out?
Yeah, good. Yeah,
imagine
I don't think it was them.
She's like, they're at a dinner. She's had a few drinks. She's like, you know what? I'm thinking of paying you guys $14 million for lessons. And the guy's like, 15.4.
He's like, I'm not sure about that. Let's go with 20. And she's like, 15. Done. It's like the fake market.
Yeah.
He's like, friend price.
Oh man, yeah.
What do you think? What do you think is the way forward from here when it comes to the city, not to us?
I think that
we're heading to Christmas. We're heading to New Year's. What's gonna happen?
It's difficult to say. I wish I had a clearer answer for you, but this is like it's not clear, right? Like, we're hitting about 80 or 90 cases a day.
Yeah,
and one thing that Hong Kong's probably had more experience with than anywhere else is going from like 0 cases into it again.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of places have had it worse, but to go that process of like you go from the way that it works is the virus gets out into the community before they find it, and so a lot of the early case finding is not tracking the spread as much as it is discovering the spread.
Yeah, it's always a reaction
that you're a couple of weeks behind on.
Yeah.
You know, so we're early days in that. It's really only been a week.
Yeah, like week, 10 days, something like this.
Of them really starting to find cases now.
But it's never preemptive. That's the annoying part about it. Like, they're never like, oh, so the next thing might come from clusters of, wet markets or whatever it is, and then like let's disinfect those or close them preemptively. It's always a reaction. With exceptions.
It kind of has to be a reaction. But here's the thing: they really screwed up. Right? Is like they've got a people that are culturally fine to work together on this, but they've set up all these stations to be like, they said we're going to test the whole city, and they found like 17 cases.
Yeah.
Or something,
How much money did they spend on that?
Yeah, but here's the problem, dude. Is so few people trust the government now that they didn't want to do it. The government handled it so badly because it was broadly known that some mainland Chinese company was brought in, not put through any of the checks that they would have to be put through, are going to be handed the data on.
They were open. They're open about it too. They didn't hide it. They're like, the samples are going to go to mainland China for testing.
And so all these people were like, "Well, screw you. You screwed us up politically.
Yeah.
We're really unhappy with the government. Yeah, we're not going to just go hand you our blood data.
Yeah.
When I don't have any sense that I have COVID. Yeah. What do I gain out of this? I'm pretty sure I'm not sick.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that no one went. And also, like, there's a trap in thinking that everybody's anti the Hong Kong government. Plenty of people are not.
No, yeah. If everybody was, the government would not be. Actually, that might not be true.
Yeah.
Let me go back.
You of all people.
Yeah, exactly.
Should know that a government, in the face of no support whatsoever, will just continue to validate themselves.
That is true. I got carried away there for a second. With my hopes of democracy.
You really, at this point, you should know better than that.
Yeah, I do. I think that's my problem though, is that I keep clinging on to this like hope of like, oh yeah, the next thing is gonna be better. It's like, and then why the fuck someone like you comes to me is like, you should know better. I'm like, oh shit, I know.
Yeah. I do think that this is the first time when I've been open to possibly the idea of a Zoom show.
Oh.
As a regular thing.
Yeah, I mean, my problem with it, aside sucking,
sucks.
But also I've not seen people making money off it, like real money.
Not crazy money, but people are making some money off it.
Yeah, maybe if that's the case, because I don't want to do a Zoom show and like hate it for like $5. That's just not. It's not worth my time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But
so what do you think? What do you think we should do?
I think we should. I'm not even joking about it. We should seek out people who are like the ties and just do private shows for them.
Yeah, how do you think?
Like seek out rich people.
Dude, all you're gonna get is COVID.
Hey, dude, if it's COVID and $40 million, I'm in.
Oh, by the way, the Hong Kong government said recently that they would give 5,000 Hong Kong dollars to people who had COVID. And I was like, I'll go get COVID.
Yeah, I'm going to go get tested because you can get tested for antibodies, right?
First time in my life, I want to go ballroom dancing.
Dude, if it's 5,000 cents, I'm in. Just give me the money. Jesus, it's so bad. Yeah, so I think I would just look for like private gigs for, rich people, like companies. They're having Christmas parties coming up.
Yeah.
Vivek is a great resource for that. He has worked with these guys for years. So that's what I would try to do. And if you're listening and you want some entertainment in your life, hit me up.
I do think that we're getting closer and closer to a vaccine being rolled out. And even if that takes up a huge chunk of next year, it's like we'll find something to do in the interim and we get to that point. Once we get to that point, we go back to what we do.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And just got to stay positive in the interim and be grateful for the fact that...
Stay positive might not be the right term right now.
Yeah, COVID positive. Also HIV positive.
Yeah. I'm going to stay negative, thank you.
Yeah, especially if anyone asks.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man. Always a pleasure.